Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Aaron, and joining me today is Dan. What's up, man?
Not much, man. How are you?
Market's doing what it's doing. It's fun. Actually, we were talking before we started the live stream just now about our frustrations with me getting stopped out and you getting stopped out. I had a couple of really good short positions open I was really excited about, and they literally, like, the price just went a little bit literally like up like a 100th of a cent, and it just got stopped out, and now it would have been a juicy profit. Hopefully this is not happening to all of you guys. But how are you doing right now with trades?
Not too bad. Like I was mentioning to Aaron also before the live stream, that when pump was really beaten down, whatever it was, like a week and a half ago, I also did a lot, like a 10x long. Like Coin Bureau Club members will know this. Like I did a 10x long, like what I thought was like at the bottom, and then of course it, like, I swear they hunt you, like it just wicked down right to that level. I'm out, and then it just goes up, whatever it is. I think it went up like 4, 5, 6x or whatever from that level.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah. So basically what I want to do today, and I already got the green light from Dan. So as long as Dan says yes, then I say, okay, that's what we're going to do. But what we're going to do today is we're just going to get into the charts. I don't want to chat too much about where I think things are. Dan, you've already been sharing lots of top grade content on the channel. I really just want to get into charts. So as we're waiting for people to join the chat, I do want to remind you guys that this is the best channel for trading content in the world. So if you have not yet already subscribed, do so. Subscribe. We are seriously super duper close to reaching 100,000 subs. So, yeah, 100,000 subs. So the only way this happens, and I say this in all my videos, is because of you. You either subscribe or you retweet, you repost, you share on your socials, share with friends and family that are interested in trading. I've been saying this as well, that I believe that we are near the finish line of this bull market. And a lot of people probably don't want to hear that, or they disagree with me, which is fine. But this is the time where we're going to see a lot of people asking questions. You're going to have the postman, you're going to have the person at, like, Starbucks, what are making your coffee for you, and they're going to be asking you questions like, how do I buy stellar lumens? How do I buy this and that? Like, you're going to hear people talking about it. Like, just pay attention to these signs, okay? But anyway, make sure that you subscribe. There's also tons of links in the description below. Check out the links to sign up for exchanges. Like for Femex, I have copy trading, although it's been frustrating. Like I said, I got stopped out a couple of positions. This one's doing good in profit, but it needs to drop more. And there's also BYDFi, new partnership. 2bit got some deals, lots of deals at the Coin Bureau deals page, as well as a discount for the 15 Minutes Financial Freedom course. So I want to first give you guys a second to start just flooding the comments with chart requests, things like that. I am keeping an eye on it, on all this. I'm sure you guys are going to be asking for like similar ones. But before we do, I want to pass it over because I'm talking too much. So Dan, why don't you just give us a quick overview of where you think we are? I think that we're near the end of this bull market. Personally, I think we have like 8 weeks left.
I agree basically 100%. My only kind of, I guess, caveat to that is I was watching a video, like, I'm sure many people who are watching follow Ben Cowan. I greatly respect him. It's funny, like, of course I don't agree with him on everything, but I honestly, like, he's great. He's amazing. And the one thing that's kind of interesting is, of course, Ben expects there to be a bounce in Bitcoin dominance. I think it's either later this month or early next month. Yeah. If that was to happen, then I actually do think that it's possible that it's a quote unquote extended cycle and we get a top like sometime in like early next year. Just looking at historical trends. And like, I can understand that from a technical analysis, but if it's okay with you, Aaron, maybe, jumping straight into the charts, can I share the Bitcoin dominance chart here? Let me see if I can.
Yeah, man, do it.
Share screen. 1 second. We're going to look at Bitcoin dominance super quick. Let me know when you're up there.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll actually start by zooming out, and maybe I'll take off the Bollinger Bands just to make things a little bit clearer. So, when I hear someone saying it's like, okay, Bitcoin dominance is going to have a bounce. When I look at the previous cycles, whether it's in 2017 or in 2021, when altcoins really started taking off, like on the monthly chart especially, you don't see a bounce. When Bitcoin dominance starts falling, it just goes straight down. And I think Aaron, obviously you use a much more advanced analysis than I did, but I could swear that I think I saw a similar analysis from you. I saw similar analysis from Bob Lucas, where they can all see like there was this rising basically channel for Bitcoin dominance, then it started breaking down on the monthly. And the moment that happens is you're basically entering, like you said, Aaron, the final phase of the cycle. And and maybe it's going to last for another 12 weeks. I would probably lean closer towards 2 or even less than that. But the point being is that when Bitcoin dominance starts falling on the monthly, it goes straight down. And I guess now I'll zoom in a little bit. When it comes to this thesis of like, okay, Bitcoin dominance could bounce, right? Like whether it's from Ben Cowan, there's a few other people who actually think that Bitcoin dominance could bounce too. I actually think that makes sense, like from a purely technical perspective, in the sense that what they would expect, I think, and again, I don't want to speak for them, but it would make sense, for example, that Bitcoin dominance would fall to 55%, and then from there it would kind of bounce up and then continue going lower, because it would kind of be like a mirror image of what we saw in late 2024. So you can kind of like mentally imagine how like it would go down and then back up, and then it would basically be like almost like a head and shoulders pattern for Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. And what's interesting is that the reasoning for why, at least from what I understand, the reason why so many people expect a bounce from Bitcoin dominance at 55% is because if Bitcoin dominance just goes straight down from this level, then it's not going to go all the way down. Like from a technical perspective, it would be way too oversold for it to go straight down to whatever it is, that 39% level, right? Bitcoin dominance would probably bottom somewhere in the high 40s or mid 40s at the absolute lowest. So I can understand from a technical perspective. And in this way, it's actually funny because a lot of people, they think, and including me, it's like, of course, Ben isn't like too big on altcoins, but funny enough, his analysis of Bitcoin dominance is actually, theoretically speaking, an actually very bullish case for altcoins, because he's basically saying, look, guys, we need to get a bounce here. If you want to see an actual, epic, massive, like running around the streets naked type of altcoin season, then you would need to, you need to get a drop, let's say, either a bounce from this level or a bounce from 55%. You need to get a bounce and then a continuation lower, so that from a technical perspective, Bitcoin dominance could fall way lower, maybe even below, the lows that it saw would fall somewhere to 35% or whatever. I can understand that, but I disagree. I think Bitcoin dominance is probably going to bottom somewhere, let's say between 46 and 48%. And I think that's going to happen basically here by sometime, probably by the end of October. And then that'll basically be the end. But yeah, I'm curious to get your thoughts there, Aaron, and if you have any charts as well that you want to share to that. And I would love to see if you have your Bitcoin dominance chart somewhere set up, I would love to see your version. I know mine's very like primitive and
No, you're good, man. Everything's good. And I actually agree with Ben. It's not that, I think a lot of people just give Ben a lot of flack because he sounds so bearish all the time. But if you actually listen to the message the man is saying, he's holding Bitcoin because he knows it's just outperforming everything else. He's also not against altcoins, right? So he's just waiting for the right signals, the right time to scale into alts. That's really what he's doing. And it's really smart. It's just a lot of us are overly anxious, or we've seen, like, we don't want to miss out on that big opportunity. Now, in my opinion, the big opportunity has already happened. As soon as Bitcoin dominance started dropping in mid-July, I know it hasn't been an easy shot, but this is literally the signal, and seeing it pass over to Ethereum dominance, seeing it now pass and change hands again to Solana dominance, which is moving up. Or you could even say like BNB dominance has been on fire because it's breaking the all-time highs. But I agree with Ben. I think that it makes a lot of sense for Bitcoin dominance to move up, mainly because I'm of the belief that once Bitcoin breaks above, or it starts moving up to like 120,000 and goes up to 124,000, I do think that we're going to see Bitcoin dominance move up in tandem with it. Just because if Bitcoin is moving up to 124,000 and now it's starting to go into price discovery mode again, I think a lot of people that have been in the market recognize how much pain that causes to alts. I think that people will be selling their alts to buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin dominance will go up for a little bit, and then it'll top, like, basically what I'm thinking for Bitcoin dominance is something like this up here to like 62% maybe. And then it hits, and then it goes a lot lower. I agree with you also on like it falling a lot lower. Let me get rid of all this stuff so it's easier to see. And also that too. Just because if you zoom, I just did a video about this, didn't I? Earlier in the week. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
They're all blending together, man. But if you think about where we are in the cycle, 4 years or so, I mean, seeing these huge, massive drops, like we're not going to see Bitcoin dominance at 95% again, ever. And I don't think we're going to see it at 73%. So it's clearly topped out here at 66%. and we're also seeing higher lows. So I agree with you as well. I think that it might bottom at like 42% would be great. And I think I'm actually curious as well there's no way to know how the market's going to react. I just certainly didn't expect Bitcoin dominance just to be on this huge tear since the market bottomed in 2022. It's literally been up only for 3 years, 3.5 years. It's been insane. But the chart that I'm actually really watching right now is combined stablecoin dominance. You don't have to combine USDT and USDC.D together, but I like to. And what I'm talking about is basically this. So there is a very clear level of support here. And this is the chart that we should really be watching the most. Just for the sake of explaining again, stablecoin dominance goes up, there's an increase in fear. Stablecoin dominance goes down, there's a decrease in fear. So basically this is bearish, this is bullish, right? And we are basically right in the middle. I do think that we're going to see stablecoin dominance fall back down here to about 4.9%. And I think that will be it. If you pay attention to where it's bottomed both of these times, back over here, the week of the 11th of March, it shows a bottoming here. What you have to recognize is that there's like an inverse relationship to Bitcoin during that time. So like March, that's too far. Here we go. So right over here, March something or other. There we go. So it's about right here. So this is where we saw a big change happen between stablecoin dominance and Bitcoin dominance. Oh, I'm sorry, March 2024. Why don't you correct me, man? It's this top right here.
I was actually pulling up the same chart because I wanted to see it on my own screen.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. So if you look at Bitcoin's tops, so there's a top here, March 11th, 2024. Bitcoin tops out after this massive rally, basically from October 2023, and it goes all the way up like crazy, right? So what's weird is that there is a correlating inverse reaction here from stablecoin dominance. Same week, March 11th, there's basically a support level here, and we see it rally and we see it peak up here at about 8%. And this peak basically means peak fear. So August 5th, if you think back to Bitcoin, August 5th in 2024, that's basically right here. This is when the Nikkei had that flash crash event, which it's actually crashing right now too, but not to the same degree. And that was the bottom. That was the entry. So what I'm suggesting is that, yes, Bitcoin dominance is great, but we should also be looking at stablecoin dominance, because if this is any indication, looking at these pivot highs and pivot lows here, then I think a reasonable target, or basically, let me say it this way. When stablecoin dominance starts falling to about 5.6%, and again, I'm combining USDT, USDC together, that will be an extremely clear sign that we are at the euphoric stage where everyone's excited. Think back to November. This is the election pump, the week in November the 4th, and it lasted for several weeks until finally it didn't. And then we saw a huge reversal in fear. And then we see it topping out here on April 7th, which correlates with an inverse move here for Bitcoin. We all know that it bottomed back over here. Gasp, April 7th. So yes, we can use the price of BTC, but we should also be using dominance charts as well. This is why it's so important. This is why I have so much respect for Ben, because if he is seeing reasonable cause for Bitcoin dominance to move back up one last time before it really drops, that's fine with me, because I do think that we're going to see that big move. But the main concern I have is, in terms of this combined dominance, I'm wondering how the market's going to feel when we're down here to like 5% combined dominance. And if we actually break below that, that'll be like mind-blowing alt season. But I personally feel like, given the timeline and the time frame, that we're probably, I'm expecting Bitcoin to top out in November of this year, about here the week of the 17th, and alts topping out like mid-December, and then that's that. And then I expect stablecoin dominance to go all the way back up here, maybe even higher, because of a couple of reasons, but I don't want to talk too much because it's going to sound really awful and terrible. But I want to give you a chance to chime in if you want.
Yeah, I have two thoughts. I guess one is, yeah, like the timeline, like that's the other thing, is like when it comes to forecasting, like if there is going to be a bounce in Bitcoin dominance, then in my mind that would necessarily extend the kind of the quote unquote cycle.
Oh, hold on. People are saying there's no sound. I'm just looking at the comments right now.
For me?
Yeah, for you, I guess. problem with video and audio. Can't hear
Oh,
either
okay.
of you.
Okay, then that must be someone's having a specific issue there. Use a different device or a different browser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already subscribed. Oh, it looks. I mean, let me. One last time before it pivot lows. An easy shot.
Only bottom somewhere in the high 40s or mid 40s at the absolute lowest.
Nah, it's good. I mean, sound looks fine to me. I'm just looking at the live stream real quick. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. Just the first thing is that's the one thing to keep in mind is in terms of the time. If we are going to top, let's say in the next, whatever it is, 8 to 12 weeks, I don't necessarily think there's time for a bounce in Bitcoin dominance. I could be wrong. But the other thing as well, how you were showing a stablecoin dominance with the USDT, USDC, I remember, I think it was my first ever live stream that I did on NFA Live with Ben and Rob. And Ben was showing a similar chart. I forget if it was USDT or which one. And I kind of had this very hot take is that if you actually look over the lifetime of course, of stablecoin dominance, which of course it doesn't go back that far. Like that chart only goes back to whatever it is, 2019. Maybe actually, Aaron, I'll pull it up on my screen just so people can follow along with what I'm saying here. So this is where we can really start getting into the, I don't want to necessarily say rabbit hole, but I guess you could say it's like more speculative. So yeah, sorry, Aaron, that I wasn't like, you were asking, you're like, Dan, like, why didn't you correct me? Because I was trying to fiddle around with my chart to see if I could
you're good. You're
find
good.
something. No, I was trying to find something that would like, anyway, I was just throwing on the Bollinger Bands and like looking around just out of curiosity. So two things, I guess, stick out to me. I guess we'll just focus on the shorter term for now. So yeah, I can see that, like, of course, there was a rally up in August. There was a rally in USDT D and USDCD. So I'll just use stablecoin dominance. There's a rally up in stablecoin dominance. Of course, it hit that Bollinger Band moving average on the weekly. It got rejected from that, and now it's starting to squeeze. And you guys can see that in previous, well, I mean, I guess recently here, previous squeezes, it would result in a squeeze to the upside, which is a little bit scary. However, if we kind of go to, let's say, previous bull markets, you can see that squeezes, I mean, I guess, well, yeah, you also saw squeezes higher there, which is pretty scary. But point being is that the squeeze here, I would say, is that basically you're about to see some big volatility, either a surge in USD in stablecoin dominance, like to the upside or to the downside. That it basically suggests that something like this is going to start in the next couple of weeks. And the question is it going to be up or is it going to be down, right? And I agree with you, Aaron, that from a technical perspective, looking just purely on the short term here, that it looks like it's going to be down. But now I want to zoom out a little bit more and then just kind of give you some more speculative take. So what I honestly think, and again, I could be completely wrong about this, but when I look at this chart, and again, it's only been around for whatever it is, 5 or 6 years. When I look at this chart, I see like, stablecoin dominance of USDT and USDC that peaked in the bear market of 2022 and has been basically declining ever since. And I actually think that trend is going to continue into the bear market for the simple reason that less and less of the market is going to involve, like, especially like imagine, very simple example, like one of the biggest demand drivers for USDC recently has been hyperliquid, right? Like everyone, they use USDC on hyperliquid to trade. And I think I haven't kept up with it too closely, but I think hyperliquid is planning on like launching their own stablecoin or something. So if you have like if hyperliquid has their own stablecoin, then what's that going to do to USDC? Obviously, it's probably going to take market share. So you could see USDC dominance falling. And this is part of why I'm like, not like the biggest fan of these indicators, is that like you have to think is like, what is the primary demand driver for these stable coins? For USDC recently, it's been hyperliquid. So if hyperliquid switches over, then you can see this thing dropping, even though the crypto market isn't pumping. But I guess in this case, you're dealing with a composite. But even then, like with USDT, like there's potentially, there's going to be some replacement there with PYUSD or who knows what, right? Like on Bullish or these exchanges. Yeah. And anyway, but point being, I guess, long story short, is that I could foresee a scenario where the dominance actually continues declining as other stable coins start to basically enter the market and take basically away market share from USDT and USDC, especially if you see like big banks launching like shared stable coins, or imagine Coinbase launches a stable coin, right? Like same idea. Like anyway, but I'll leave it at that. The one thing that I wanted to kind of pivot to, if it's okay with you, Aaron, just to help put things into perspective for people, because when you mention, or when I mention like, hey guys, we're entering the final phase of the cycle, everyone is like, I don't feel that, that's not possible, there's no way it's going to happen, right? And if it's okay with you, I want to show one of many charts I think that you can use just to kind of prove like, look guys, like we're closer to the end than you think. And so I'll share that chart now. Yeah, again, just super basic. Can you see it? I'm sorry, I always have to check. Nice. So, of course, what you're looking at here is the total crypto market cap excluding Bitcoin, Ethereum, and stablecoins. And you can see that it's, depending on how you want to, again, like with these indexes, it's a little bit like, I'm not going to get into the rabbit hole, but the point being is that it looks like it's very close to a breakout. If you look, I think at total two or total three, one of those is already breaking out. So basically, when you look at any index that is excluding Bitcoin, you can see that it is basically on the brink of a multi-year breakout finally. And everyone is at this level being like, oh, I don't feel so good. Like today's red. Like I don't think it's gonna go up. And it's like, man, this is literally multiple years of like preparation for this monster move that is literally. I mean, again, this is on the weekly chart. It literally looks like it's about, again, depending on which one you're looking at, it's either already started or is going to start in the next week or two. So
Yep.
I like it, and so this is, I guess, just to help put things into perspective for people. And I don't know if there's anything you want to comment on that there, Aaron. Anyway.
I love that you're sharing this chart too, because so many times we get wrapped up in the minute chart, the 5-minute chart, what's happening day to day. And we forget to zoom out, because when you zoom out, it gives you so much more clarity to realize, where are we? Where are we going? Where have we been? I mean, that chart in itself is just insane. Like you can see the low, like the low there, and it's just going higher and higher and higher. And we're finally about to break out. Like, yes, like, so if we were to all of a sudden just crap out here, oh man, the smell. There would be so many people rage quitting.
But anyway, I'll leave it at that. But that, I guess, just to help put things into perspective for people, because of course one of the top questions or comments I've been getting, especially over the last 24 hours, is like the Fed cut rates, but today's red, and it's like, well, man, come on, like just zoom out and see where we're at,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So before we go further, guys, I want to remind you that there are some insane links down below in the description. Go ahead and click on those links, so that way we have your support. That way, where am I? Here we go. You're going to see the screen. There we go. This one. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. There we go. Boom. Make sure that you're clicking all the links. Click them all. Just treat it like Pokemon. Click them all. You can join Femex. You can join BYDFi. 2bit is a non-KYC requiring exchange. There's tons of deals available on the Coin Bureau website. All that good stuff. And then again, guys, subscribe if you have not already. And I also noticed a very sad thing, a very sad ratio right now, that a lot of you are watching this, and I'm very happy you're here with us, but the likes are lacking. If you guys want us to start looking at some charts, smack the like button, literally punch it. You need a new mouse, okay? After
like
hitting the like button, you need to use your fist and just absolutely demolish it. That's what you need to do, okay? We are not kidding. Yes, the number's going up. Thank you. Now, I think once we get the likes up to, we'll say 200, then we should start looking at some charts. Let's do that. I think that's good.
Sounds good.
Let's talk actually. There's a chart that I've been watching that is really interesting, because you're talking about stable coins. I don't really know how many stable coins it encompasses, but have you seen the stable.c.d chart?
No, I have not.
Okay, so there are some new ones, like TradingView is doing their best for it. Good, thank you guys. The likes are going up, but we're not there yet. 150 is not 200. Okay, and hitting it twice only takes it away. So if you've already done it, don't take it away. Go ahead and check it out. There unfortunately is not as much data on it, but the interesting thing that I like about stable.c.d is that the percentage is slightly higher. It's adding on 1.5% to that combined stablecoin dominance that I was sharing before, USDT and USDC. It's just an interesting chart. That one, and I really enjoy looking at the total E charts, like total ES.D, total E. Here, what am I doing? Why am I saying this and not showing it? Sorry, I just realized how stupid this is. Yes, allow. It's just interesting because you're mentioning a lot of stuff. And I also saw someone dropping a comment about it too. It's like, if we see more stablecoins coming into crypto, that could also dilute and, like you said, it could mess with stablecoin dominance in a negative way, where it's not useful to like identify pivot highs and pivot lows. But anyway,
exactly.
Stable.c.d is a really interesting chart. Again, it doesn't have as much data, but I like the fact that it's showing a better representation of other coins. I am pretty sure that PYUSD doesn't even have a dominance. It's nowhere even there. So, but other charts that I really like too are like the total ES ones, which is the total crypto market cap excluding stable coins. This to me is also really, really helpful because I know a lot of people love looking at the total, but there's quite a difference between total and total ES. And when I strip away the stablecoins, for me, like total E50 is a great chart because this is a better representation of where alts are, or like total E100, basically excluding everything out of the top 100. This, in my opinion, is so much better. It's a better representation compared to like others, which others looks at everything below the top 10. But total E50, this is your DGen index.
Yep.
Total E50 is like your mid cap index. You know what I mean?
I saw you sharing that chart earlier. I was actually going to ask what it was because that's a super awesome find. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Would it
Guys,
be okay?
9 likes. 9 likes away. Come on, you can do it. Okay, go ahead, Dan. Yes.
In that case, Aaron, could I quickly share before we start actually diving into charts on the topic of stablecoins? Just one last quick thing I want to throw in there, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one way you guys can actually track the total stablecoin market cap is, of course, to go to DeFi Llama and literally just do defilama.com/stablecoins. And that'll show you the total crypto market cap of all the stablecoins, including what they are, which chains they're on, and all this stuff. And what's really fascinating is, again, like, call me a degen or whatever. I love doing technical analysis on like search trends and like, home vacancies or like whatever, you know what I mean? Like different stuff. And what's really interesting here is like, imagine just hypothetically, just forget that you're looking at stablecoin market cap and just pretend that you were going to do technical analysis on this chart. Like, what would the target be? And what's really interesting is that you would think, okay, well, then I'm just going to take, that the resistance level would be, let's say, somewhere around 190 billion. And then you take like, the difference between like the lows. And you could say that theoretically, then the stablecoin market cap would get to around 380 billion or whatever. However, there are not all stablecoins are created equal, and some stablecoins, when it comes to all these indices, some stablecoins kind of like warp things. And so what we need to do here is we actually have to go to the backing type. And if we remove, watch what happens. We remove the algorithmic, and look what happens. Look at that. You see that? I'll do it again. So with the algorithmic, you can see that the starting point of the breakout, it completely changes, like from a technical perspective, and that's because that extra algorithmic stablecoin was obviously Terra. It was UST. So when you remove the algorithmic, you say, wait a minute, the actual starting point is not like 190 billion; it's closer to 170 billion. And if you hypothetically double it, then that means that the target, theoretically, for the total stablecoin market cap, and feel free to disagree, Aaron, this is just my total naked, horrible analysis.
Close, man, please.
But the total, you don't want to see what's going on under this table. I'm kidding. But if you were actually to do technical analysis on this, and you cut out the Terra, the UST, and you do technical analysis on this, it gives you a total stablecoin market cap top target of around 340 billion. And you can see how fast it's been rising. So what I would, again, this is just something I've noticed. I could be completely wrong. And not only that, but you're not factoring in the ETFs. You're not factoring in, what else? You're not factoring in trading against fiat, which is of course very common in like Korea, right? Like within Korean won and all this stuff. So this doesn't factor in everything. But when you do see the total stablecoin market cap getting up to somewhere in that 350 to 400 billion range, we're probably close to a top potentially based on this, technical analysis of that. So I'll leave it at that. I'm sure we're at 200 likes now, and we can start.
We hit it. Thanks, guys. You're awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into some chart requests. I did see some people asking about a couple of tickers. So why don't you go ahead and you can just put up your trading view chart. I think we should look at Cardano, look at ADA and Near. Near actually was pumping recently, which is really exciting. There's a lot to look at today.
Yeah, man. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll just pull it up.
Yeah.
I actually don't. It might sound really strange, but I actually prefer using Binance for technical analysis.
No, man, it's all good. Do what you got to do.
Yeah, ADA and Near, because I actually do like their trading terminal or whatever you want to call it there. Let me real quick. Oh yeah, man, Near looks really nice. Hold on. Teasing people here. So. Yeah, let me quickly share. So I guess we'll start with ADA, yeah?
Yes. I'm just looking at the comments as they're flying by. Yes.
Let me share. And again, you know me, like with my very basic like I actually did have a few old trend lines drawn, but I just erased it all literally just now because it probably doesn't really count anymore. And I'll draw it out on stream, and we'll see how sticky my mouse is. So of course maybe I should start from the daily for instance. Okay, so we'll start from the daily just because I'm sure people are panicking, thinking, oh my God, ADA is going down and it's going to crash. Is it over? So, the key support level I can see here is somewhere around, roughly, let's say 85 cents, 86, 85 cents. That's where the daily Bollinger Band moving average is. And you can even draw it out, guys. Like if you look with your naked eye, you can be like, wait a minute. There's something like, not precisely, but there's something around this range here, 84.70, something around that level, right? So somewhere in this, like I think that's as low as ADA could fall. Of course, if it did fall below that level, then you could potentially be dealing with like a little bit of a double top pattern here, and then maybe it could fall down to this lower range of like 70 cents. But in the shorter term, it's looking pretty okay. So long as it holds that 85-cent level, I think it's fine. Zooming out to the weekly, this is looking good. Like I actually think this looks awesome. And even if we zoom out here, we can see that there's a very long-term, again, we're going to test the stickiness of my mouse here. There's a very long-term resistance here, somewhere roughly around what is that? Around $1.10-ish. Like, of course, you could make the case it's a little bit higher than that, maybe somewhere around $1.20 or something like that. But in that $1.10, $1.20 range, and you could imagine, even if we just remove the Bollingers completely for a second, you could see how ADA seems to, at least over the last year, let's say, it's been naturally gravitated to that level, right? It's hit it a few times here. So next time it hits that level, which I think is going to happen, assuming Aaron and I are correct that things are going to start heating up here, that level could be hit potentially by the end of the month. Whether it gets above it, that's a whole other thing. Maybe there'll be another rejection and it'll chop again, because we can see like how much it struggled. And it makes sense if you think about it. Like imagine how many people in the previous cycle here, how many people were accumulating when ADA was around $1, and how many people, I guess, on the way up, how many people were buying around $1 and how many people were accumulating around $1 on the way down. You can even see like, as soon as it fell below $1, people are like, look, awesome. That's my opportunity to buy. And it, brought it right back up to $1 and then take profit right into the bear market. So I think ADA is looking pretty good here. You could say that about many cryptos, but Near, hold on. Let's see if it'll wait. I actually need to, I think.
Yeah, it's really waking up right now. It's really good.
I need to change the screen here. Near is looking really, really nice. Let me check on the, oh my. Hold on. What I'll maybe do is it's a little bit tricky with the daily, but that's fine. So obviously on the daily, Bollinger Band squeezing to the upside, looking good. But let's remove that just for 1 second. And I will add in here just a trend line, if it'll let me, please. We can see that somewhere around, let's say, oh my God, this chart is messing with me. Somewhere around $3.5, right? If Near was to get above that, like, good Lord. And you can see it goes all the way back, actually. It goes all the way back to, I guess that was in 2023. Jesus. This is looking really good. It's like a very long period of accumulation. You can see that Near starting to break out of that. But again, going back to the weekly, and I'll delete this trend line here, and we will throw on the Bollingers. And like literally, guys, like the way I use the Bollingers, in case it wasn't clear enough, I literally just use the default setting and that's it. Oh my Lord, that looks so good. Like that is just look at that squeeze. Like that's the last time we saw something like that was like going into basically going into 2023 when Near saw this absolutely massive just like melt up that whole year. And it looks like history is going to repeat. And and in terms of thinking, okay, like, well, then where could it go and where could it start facing resistance? Of course, obviously, the answer is going to be the same as last time. We would have to basically look and see where did most people start accumulating, where was prices start struggling to get above, and that looks like it's somewhere around $8, give or take. Let me see if I can actually grab this with my sticky mouse. Okay, I really have to work on that sticky mouse, but yeah, like you can very clearly see, again, very basic analysis. You guys can see, like, Aaron. And to his credit, it's like I love listening to Aaron. Like I was listening to you actually the whole week, because I love that you have all these different, basically each indicator is a different way of looking at the crypto market. And there's all these different ways, and it's really interesting. It's like you're checking a Rubik's Cube or something, right? You're like looking around the thing, and it's like, it's super awesome. And like, but for me, my style is very simple. It's just put the Rubik's Cube on the table and just look at it. And I'm like, I think, turn it this way, turn it that way. But in all seriousness, you can see, like with your naked eye, there's very clear resistance somewhere around $8. That I think would be the logical, again, kind of like a magnet. It would be logical for a Near to rally back up to that level. After that, I'm going to have to ask for your opinion, Aaron, because I have to phone a friend here, because I don't know, once it gets above that, like, 7, you could even say it's a little bit lower, maybe even somewhere around like 7.8 or something like that, just before $8. Because of course, imagine how many people, not only were buying again in the previous cycle around $8, but how many people were buying in potentially at the top, expecting a huge breakout. Back in 20, that must have been 2024, or 2020.
March.
Yeah, March. Yeah,
you can see March and November, or March and December.
Yeah, March. Yeah,
both of those tops. Again, it's like that. It's the stablecoin thing, right?
Yep.
So,
it's looking really good. Near looks like it's breaking out, and if it can, get above $8, then we would have to wait and see. But I think that there's so much. When I see this, something like this, same like we saw with ADA, it's a little bit scary because when you had such a prolonged period of people, trading within this like whatever it was, $8 to $12 range, there's going to be so much resistance on the way up when you get there. But that doesn't mean you can't make some money, in between here and $8. That's like pretty solid 2x. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
we got a I don't know what it's called, super chat from
Nice.
Navdeep. I have to where is it? Oh, here it is. From Navdeep, we got to answer this one because he's given us a tip. We can split it in the middle. I get 98.5 cents. You get 98.5 cents. So he wants to know: are your ETH predictio for 7 days? What the lower low? What the lower low? Just messing with you, buddy. I know, it's okay.
For the next 7 days. I mean, that's a
So
tricky
it
one.
sounds like someone might be trading options, and they want to phone a friend.
Yeah.
Why don't you pull it up? I want to have you drive the bus.
Yeah. It's really tricky because when you're okay. Again, I'll do my very basic, Bollinger Bands. I love my Bollinger Bands, man. I'm sorry. And I'll actually, you know what? This time maybe I might add in. Maybe I'll switch. You know what? Sorry, I'll switch over to the Trading View one. I'll delete whatever's there if anything's. Well, I mean, you can kind of keep that there. It's not too bad. And maybe I'll even add to it. So you can see here that ETH has basically over the last. I think we're moving on now. How long has ETH been chopping since early August? So what is that? It's been over a month. It's been like 6 weeks that ETH has basically been chopping in this range here. Okay, and what is the prediction for the next 7 days? Well, there's a couple things here. One is it's literally in the middle of the range. So I don't know. At this stage, and again, of course, you can go and we can search for. I know one of Aaron's favorites here. We can start looking at RSI potentially. And what I like, at least the way that I use RSI. Wait, I don't know where it just disappeared to. I don't know if that's from a sticky mouse or what. Oh, I guess there's now two. Anyways, with the RSI, what I like to look for is, of course, to see previously, where did the RSI mark a low? And you can see every single time the RSI got close to this 50 level, at least over the last, let's say 2 months roughly, every single time it was around that 50 level, it would kind of bounce from that level. So it looks like, potentially based on the RSI that ETH could fall a little bit lower so that the RSI falls down, whatever it is, to that 50 on the RSI. And then from there probably gets another bounce higher. And of course, you could argue it's well, wait a minute, Dan, don't you see the bearish divergence there where you're seeing I don't know if I can here add in. Whoop. Oh, look at that bearish divergence, Dan. Price is going up and ETH is, does that not make you concerned? And to be honest, not really. But and again, I don't know what's going on with my RSI here with the sticky mouse likes to disappear my RSIs. But in all seriousness, it's you could say, there's a bearish divergence and that means it's going to completely collapse. Well, in that case, I guess two things to say. I'll quickly zoom out to the weekly. Because again, the tricky thing about saying next 7 days at the end of a week, it's let me look at the weekly here. This weekly, in my opinion, this weekly chart for ETH looks stellar, looks fantastic. If this week is red, in my mind, I actually think that's fine. I think, and even here, you can say again, oh, look, there's a, bearish divergence and it's a little bit overbought. And does that mean it could correct? Okay, let's say hypothetically that yes, because I know that I believe that Ben has been calling for a pretty decent pullback for ETH.
Yep. Yes.
And I think, if ETH was to move down, again, using just the Bollinger Bands on the weekly, for ETH to move down to 3,400, possible. But again, at least from my perspective, when it comes to potential timing, if you do think that a cycle top is coming, in the next, let's say, month or two, the idea that ETH would fall to this level and then continue rallying higher, then that would put us in a December top or whatever, sometime early next year, because you would basically be, invalidating that kind of, how would I say, this bull flag that you could argue is forming on the weekly here. But yeah, I guess long story short, long story short is that I guess on the shorter term time frame here, it looks like ETH is probably going to go a little bit lower. And then after that, we'll see. Will it bounce from that level again and then just like continue heading higher? Or will this kind of long-term, potentially bearish divergence that's been playing out completely roll over? Last thing I'll mention, especially when it comes to stuff like whether it's ETH or whether it's Sol, and I think this actually ties in, Aaron, to how you were saying earlier. It's like, how is it possible that Bitcoin just basically kept like climbing straight up for all that time? My kind of hot take is that because it was just the easiest. There was enough leverage that was able to access Bitcoin in the form of like these treasury companies or MicroStrategy or whatever. And of course, ever since we've seen Ethereum treasury companies starting, then you're also starting to see them accumulate. And same thing with Solana. So, I'm sure that would also reflect in the charts. But part of me wonders, it's like, when you do see ETH fall to some critical level, how big of a, how many people do you think are going to step in to buy that level? And based on what we've seen recently here, as soon as ETH hits around 4,200, someone is stepping in to buy that level. That's been the case for the last month and a half, and I see no reason why that would change, even irrespective of this bearish divergence. I don't know. That's just my take, but yeah, you need to get your thoughts there.
Okay, I mean it's tricky because I'm looking at like I said in my video earlier today, like asymmetric bets. Ethereum close to its all-time high.
Not very
it could eke out, maybe a 50% move, a 70% move from here, which would be $8,000, which is great if you bought in when it was like $1,000. But if you're buying here, it's not as interesting. So other things that I consider when I'm looking at the chart for Ethereum too is that, it had an incredible rally. You cannot lie. You have to admit that when it started, let me share my screen. When it started the rally, really here, that week at the 21st of April, right? Like this is where it's just unstoppable. But the truth is that like we had a target. And now that it's above the target, to me, it's not as desirable anymore. I think it's good. I think it could do well. But there was clear resistance. And once it finally blew through that, it's like, cool, now what? And it just feels like it lost all of the energy, especially in terms of like volume. You can see it too. You can see the votes falling big time. Volume's growing, see a big burst this week, the 5th of May, and it shoots up, but then it's done. Like volume falling off this much is a bad sign to me on the weekly. But again, like everything is going to be, I believe everything's going to be okay for most charts. It's just like, how long do you want to wait for charts to pump and to push? And speaking of pump, I want to make sure that you guys know that we have lots of amazing sponsors and exchange partners that will help you to pump your bags, maybe. But before you go to those sponsors, make sure that you slam, I don't know, that was the weirdest, most awkward transition ever. I think I'm going to have to write that out and say it every time just to honor the legacy of that absolute dumpster fire. We are close, guys. 98,200 subs and some change. You are not change. You are the change that brings us to 100,000. So make sure to, I don't think I can do these live streams at night. Down below, there are lots of links for FEMX, for Bidifi, for BYD5, for 2bit, lots of other stuff as well at the Coin Bureau deals page. The reason I keep doing this is because Nick said to me after a live stream once, he's like, hey man, great job on the live stream. You got to keep going back to the site though. Like you talked for too long. I was like, oh, okay. Got it, boss. So it's my obligatory, I decided to throw that in. Now we got some people also asking for some charts. I'm going to take this next one for pump.
Yeah, nice.
Pump. I like pump. I think it's great, mainly for trading. Have you actually gone to pump? Oh, are you serious?
I have PTSD from seeing this chart.
Well, I mean, I already had my long position from a while ago, and it did great. I already deleted it, but we entered like back over here, like the worst possible place. But with DCA, it always wins. But I'm angry because I entered a short literally up here, and I closed it way too prematurely. What would I don't want to know what I'm in right now. I'm satisfied with any amount of profit. So thoughts on pump? Pump is dumping. That's my thought. No, but seriously, this is what I've been waiting for. I've been talking about this on my channel because I'm reviewing this one a lot. I don't necessarily like what I'm seeing on pump.fun in terms of the new streamer revenue stuff. Like, this is just giving me the meme coin season vibes all over again. And like seeing people do like weird stuff while they're streaming, or like potentially like self-harm or like weird stuff. It's like, that's really not what we want to like be about in crypto. Can we all agree to that? Like, there's just a lot of weird stuff people are trying to do. They're basically just prostituting themselves for money, for creator fees. It's weird. Let's focus on like the tech. Can we do that? But in the meantime, I mean, the chart's amazing for trading. It's actually really, really similar to me in terms of like volatility, like Fartcoin is. Now, Fartcoin is a coin I can get behind. You get it? Because I love the volatility. I love the whips and the dips, the pumps and the dumps. I'm on fire. But the one thing you got to make sure of when you're trading pump and Fartcoin is to put on a pair of diapers. Because this thing is going to rip your face off going up and down. But the reason why I love talking about these two charts and I love trading them is because they're so volatile. They're awful for holding. They're great for trading. And you guys are on the Coin Bureau trading channel. So I have no problem with pump. I think in general, as a, like what they're doing at the platform and stuff, okay. I mean, I'm not really happy, but that's them. They're going to do what they want to do. That's okay. That's the freedom that cryptocurrency does offer, whether it's actually something that has tech behind it or it's just people. There's a guy who's like, I don't even want to say, I don't even glorify any of these guys. So it's a great chart for trading. Someone else was asking about, oh no, they just gave us a sticker. That's a salt shaker. That's amazing. That's a good one. I like that. You guys don't have to do super chats and stuff. It's fine. Let's look at a couple of other coins. Now, what I'm curious to see is what's going to be the next, I don't know if impetus is the right word. It's definitely not impotent. Now my mind's just absolute garbage. I'm really curious to figure out and try to identify what's the next like narrative, the next move. So if we think back to like Ethereum season, which it really was Ethereum season, right? So ETH was doing like I've been conditioned by you guys. It's ETH. ETH was on a rip right over here, up like 170%. What was also ripping during this time? Optimism, Arbitrum, other layer twos of Ethereum. Athena was doing really well. ENS was doing really well, right? Everything in like the Ethereum ecosystem was ripping and roaring. I personally think that Solana is having its turn right now. So it makes sense to see stuff like Jupiter. I can't find, there it is. So Jupiter should be doing well. It's not really following, but you know what I'm saying? Or like BNB going up to an all-time high, and actually KuCoin shares, or KCS, the token, they changed the name. I can't stop saying it because it's just what it's always been to me. And also, was it the OKB, like ripping and roaring, right? So I'm saying this because I know you're watching so many more charts than I do. I watch about 50 to 70 a day, but I know you're like looking at tons of stuff. Do you notice anything like shifting or like not obvious, but like any sort of I
got you. I got what you're saying. No worry, Aaron. Next time we'll find a way to schedule it for a little earlier. It's a Friday night. Give the guys
just waking up too early is all.
Give him some slack and a beer. Anyway,
that'll be worse.
So I guess I'll start by just commenting quickly. Yeah, like the thing, or actually maybe I will pull up a chart while I'm talking. So the thing that I find really interesting, and I think I've also highlighted it in my videos, is that the moment that Ethereum basically started chopping was the moment that Solana started rallying. And so what that makes me wonder is like, okay, well, if Solana is now getting to a stage where it's probably going to chop, which I think seems likely, not just because it's hitting like long-term resistance, in fiat terms, but because it's hitting long-term resistance in both ETH and BTC terms, which I'll just show in just a second. But when we're getting to those levels, like it just makes me think, it's like, okay, well then what's going to be the next kind of like logical rotation? And this is honestly part of why in my personal portfolio, two of my biggest holdings are Aptos and Sui. And maybe I'll also pull up a Sui chart while I'm trying to prepare all of this here. And also Aptos, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be asking about it.
Yeah, they have been. Yes, I'm still watching it too. I'm still holding and waiting patiently.
Me too. The interesting thing, with Sui, I honestly think, basically, long story short, is I think that as soon as Solana basically calms down, which it looks like it has, although there could still be a little bit more room for Solana to have a little bit more of a rally there. But I do think, and I'll just hold on quickly for Aptos. Okay, I'll start sharing some charts here. So first one, I'll probably just go. Yeah, I'll quickly share first the Sol ETH chart, if you can see it.
Yep, I got you.
So yeah, Sol ETH, and maybe even I'll zoom out even more to the weekly, to the monthly, because that makes things a little bit clearer. So looking at whether it's the monthly again, and at least in for me personally, I can tell when I drew a trend line correctly when it just, I draw it just using my naked eye, and then I slap on the Bollinger Bands, and I see that there's confluence with that level, and I'm like, okay, so I found something here. So in terms of the monthly, you can see that it looks like, is Sol ETH going to go a little bit higher, like maybe by a percentage or two, a couple of percentage points, and then at that stage, and I guess I'll stop sharing that chart. But like, point being is that it looks like Sol is its outperformance versus ETH is basically potentially close to done, at least in the short term. And then looking at Sol BTC, similar idea. In this case, a little bit simpler, because if I throw on the Bollingers, it already kind of shows that ETH BTC is already struggling, especially Sol BTC is already struggling, especially if we go to the monthly. We can already see that there's a lot of resistance around that level, which, to be fair, that could be it. And that could be a sign that we're going to get, again, this kind of like bounce in Bitcoin dominance, right? And all that type of stuff. But irrespective of that, I do think it's likely that Sol will probably rally back up to this, whatever it is, 0.0022 or 0.0023 versus BTC in the short term. And then at that stage, Solana has, at least in my books, has basically its outperformance is done for the short term. Then, and we look at now a chart like Sui, which is looking just spectacular in my opinion. Yes, there's been a lot of, like, you could say, volatility deviations around these levels that I've drawn here, but overall, this kind of, basically bouncing, let's say between, well, here's $3.2, but basically between $3.2 and $4, this bounce, it's been bouncing in that range now, for 2 months, 3 months since, what is that? Since early July. So what are we dealing with now? 3 months? Is that 3 months ago? 2 months ago?
Yeah.
2 months ago.
July,
2 months ago.
August, September. Yeah. No, whatever.
Yeah. So it's been bouncing between those two levels, and it looks like, again, it's getting up to that range. It looks like it got a little bit of a rejection yesterday, getting a little bit of a pullback. Maybe it goes back into the middle of the range, somewhere around 3.6 or whatever, right? Yeah. And then from there we see, does it get that second leg higher and then finally break out? In which case it's like holy mumbo jumbo, like you're dealing with like some pretty nice, and maybe it's even a little bit clearer if we even zoom out to the weekly. You can see that this whole structure here is almost just like this big consolidation pattern, this huge, just like long period of chop, just preparing. Actually, RSI comes in handy here. One thing that I've been looking at, I guess RSI is one thing I've been looking at when it comes to trying to get a sense of when a crypto could top. Is and again, we're getting this sticky. I have no idea. I've never seen that happen before. I don't know why it just like magically disappears my RSI when I like double click. Maybe that's just like a feature or something. Anyway, what you can see here is like as soon as we break out of the structure, there's actually a lot of room to run. And like the other thing too is that, sorry, I'm like a little bit scatterbrained as well, but the really interesting thing with RSI is like this long period of chop has basically completely reset the RSI, and Sui's price is now at same levels when the RSI was at 80, but Sui is now at the exact same price, but the RSI is at like 55. So that means it has like, you've completely reset positioning and sentiment. No one's talking about
really
Sui.
Interesting.
Yeah. And now it's like, as if, which I think it will, if Sui gets above this $4 level, it's like this thing has legs, man. And especially because it only got up to 79 on the weekly RSI. That's not that high. That could, it could easily go into like the 90 range. You could be dealing with a pretty sizable, like if we want to, take off the auto fit here, and then we can start being super degen. Maybe I'll even get rid of the RSI, and we can literally be like, okay, well then, like, what could happen, if we had some kind of just like ridiculous degen, just like trend line, like just something like this where it just keeps going up and up and up,
Yeah.
up to whatever it is, like $8 if it'll click out on me. Yeah. Anyway, so like, anyway, you get the point. So that's for Sui, and I'll go quickly just to Aptos, and then I'll let you take over there, Aaron. Sorry for the
don't apologize, man. Don't you dare apologize, sir. You're working right now.
So Sui again, we'll zoom in even closer to the 4 hour. Sui on the 4 hour again. Like I love the Bollinger Bands. It just shows me where's the key support, where's the key resistance. Sui could fall a little bit further back down to 4.55. That would suck, but like it doesn't look like it's going to completely implode. Going out to the daily, what's the lowest it could fall? 4.44. So again, a little bit of confluence there. It's like, okay, 4.55, 4.44. Clearly there's a lot of accumulation happening around this level, because if there wasn't, then the price would just be completely puking lower. And if we zoom out to the weekly, and this is what I've been waiting for the longest time. And I remember when Aptos almost got this breakout here.
So many.
I've been waiting, like when Aptos gets above whatever it is, 4.7, 4.8, 4.75, 4.8, something around there. Like this thing's just gonna freaking send, man. Like this is the most squeezed the Bollinger Bands have ever been for Sui. For Aptos. And the last thing I'll mention, because when I say it's like I do think, and I know Aaron, you disagree a little bit here, and to be honest, I can understand your stance that it's like, oh, it's maybe going to rally to like $7 or $9 or whatever, or it's not going to go up. I mean, I know there's other levels that you outlined before, but I can understand why someone would say, there's going to be a lot of selling pressure somewhere around $9, and it's probably not going to go higher than that. I can understand that. But especially when you're looking at Aptos through the lens of market cap, and let me just actually remove this auto fitting here. You can see here, though, like I unironically expect to move similar to what we saw in January 2023, which was during a bear market, by the way, when there was almost no one paying attention. Literally, the only people who were around then was like crypto natives that had survived the crash of FTX. Yeah. And you saw from $3 to $20 in the course of 3 weeks. And I unironically expect a move almost identical to that in the next while here, going back up to that $20 range, and hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, whatever ritual you want, getting out of that range, and then whatever it was, Aaron, I think you mentioned it was like $34 or $36 as a potential in the optimistic case. I'm not saying I know that your base case is much lower than that. You're like, oh Dan, don't tell me that I'm that's Aptos is going to go that. But yeah,
dude,
that's
you need to check the fire alarms in your apartment, because I think there's a big gas leak.
Oh shit.
No, I mean that's the thing though. I don't think there's anything wrong with having those massive crazy targets. Yeah, like $32 would be a termination zone if things got really, really frothy. Every single exchange that I look at, every pair for Aptos, it shows the same thing for me too. Like I see, it's not Bollinger Bands, but I see like a massive squeeze that's happening right now. And that's why I hold. And I've had people complain, because I talked about these diamonds or these symbols right here. These are TBT bullish divergence, and these are clusters. So it's basically the same thing. So it's just telling me it's basically the same green triangle, but because so many of these are happening in such a short amount of time, because it's the weekly, but it's within 7 candles, that's insane. I don't know of very many charts at all that are showing this. So does it have potential to absolutely explode? Yes. And we've talked about this before in past live streams, and you guys do have to factor this into your investment thesis as well. What's the price point? Because if we think, is retail actually going to be coming to crypto? If someone sees a stock of crypto, just entertain me, for like $4, like, okay, I have $40, I'll buy 10 of those. Like This is so much easier for normal people to go, wow, okay, $4. Why would I buy one whole Ethereum? I don't have $4,000. Why would I buy Solana? I don't have $300, but I have $100. Like, okay, I'll buy some Aptos, and it's on Coinbase too. And if we think about what's a good alt, more like a bull market top signal, Coinbase is basically ranked number 1. So I think it is important to pay attention to coins that are listed on Coinbase, and the price point is just right. Now, of course, you could say, well, there are lots of coins that are like fractions of a cent. I think price does matter. It has to be a sweet spot, really between like $2 or $3 to like $10. I think that's where most people that are like used to stocks, they're thinking like, wow, it's a really good deal. I like this. Anything that's below that seems like it's scammy. I see people asking for AVAX. Yes, AVAX has had some really amazing price action recently. Again, I feel like people are asking about this just to rub salt in the wound, because I literally opened a perfect short literally opened a perfect short this morning right here, and it got stopped out. Why did I have it so tight? I don't know. I just don't want to think about it, but you guys are just rubbing it right in the wound. But the good news about AVAX, Avalanche, the fact that this one is actually moving in general, this looks so busy. Let me just turn all this stuff off. Even this. The main thing that you need to focus on, that I'm focusing on, is this long-term overhead resistance level, okay? This is the level to watch. There was a time back over here in December where it was teasing it, and then it got absolutely rejected, right? If it can actually push above this resistance level, then AVAX could send even higher. Now, again, price point's important. $35, $34. So if it's up here, it's about 40 bucks. It starts to get a little bit expensive. And then you have to factor in, well, there is local resistance in this range between $50 to 66. So for one, it has to go above overhead resistance. And then it has to get above these two levels, which is already a 70% move. And if we think that alts are going to really be going crazy in December, I have a hard time seeing a reason for AVAX to pump like it did back over here in October 2023. But why did everything pump in October 2023? Because there was a big macro event. That was the teaser for the Bitcoin spot ETF. Why did things pump over here in November? That's because this was the Trump pump. This is the election pump, and we saw everything pump up a lot. What's the reason why things went absolutely crazy over here in July 2021? That's because Bitcoin started rebounding after bear market summer, after it crashed in May, losing 77%. And then it went on to rally up another 1,000%. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like there has to be some sort of massive move or massive thing that's happening globally in a macro sense in order for AVAX to really send. Why did it send 1,800%? Because everything was sending back here in late December, early January. That was alt season, right? So are we coming up to that same effect right now? We could be. This looks very, very good as far as it's starting. It's already at 45% from the start of the move on the daily. But again, I'm looking at charts like this and trying not to be annoying, but I'm also like, that's pretty decent resistance. There's price-based resistance. There's a lot of stuff against AVAX. Whereas if we had something that was newer, like I see Ondo coming up, right? Just pulling it out of the blue. It's a new listing. It's a chart that hasn't existed to see a previous euphoric bull market rally. There have been bullish things that have happened since it listed, at least here on Bybit, January 2024, right? So there's a nice rally. Everything was rallying January 2024 to about March. And then we have the bear market, or like a bear market summer-ish kind of thing. And then what do we have? Trump pump rally, everything rallies, right? So if we have something similar, I think charts like this, even though, yeah, and the price point's good, it's $1. So looking at something like this, I feel like it has much more potential, even though it's already gone up so much from this listing high. So there are lots of different factors that I think about when I'm looking for investment theses. But again, I like Aptos. I'm not being paid to talk about them at all. If anything, they're taking away money from me because I should be putting money into other charts, right? It just makes sense.
Same.
But when I see an opportunity like this, I can't help but see this as a massive pattern that I'm just waiting for it to explode. If it doesn't, that's fine, cool. Like that's going to be a big slap in the face. But I'm also not like aping into this with all my portfolio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why don't you pull up a couple more charts? A lot of people are asking for Say. I keep seeing it coming up too, and it's just interesting because I think a lot of people, what's the right word? Well, they Tagaini. Oh my God, no! I'm starting to speak Japanese. That's not helpful at all. They associate Sui and Say together.
Yes, precisely.
So
and that's why
you're talking about Sui, then I think it makes sense for you to talk about Say next.
And the logos even look similar. Like one is water and one is fire. Like, what are the chances? Anyway, I actually think it's brilliant for that simple reason. But yeah, let me share my screen. Yeah, I think that's brilliant. Like, this is part of why not only do people inherently assume that Say is a competitor to Sui, but Say also has a smaller price tag. So when they see Sui at like whatever it's going to be, $4, $5, $8, they're going to look at Say and they're going to be like, well, this is going to get that big. Surely it's just like Sui, you know, like, and again, not saying that it's going to happen, but I guess, sorry, just to talk through things here, I guess we'll start on the daily as always, just to zoom in. So again, yeah, like seeing a little bit of a pullback. We can even, you know, in honor for you, Aaron, just because we're on the stream and you're getting tired, I'm going to do my best to remember to use the RSI here.
You're good, but do what you want to do. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I know. But the point being is that, yeah, like we can see that in Say's case, like, yeah, sometimes it'll deviate a little bit below the RSI. And again, like, so maybe there will be a little bit of a pullback in the short term, you know, back to this support line of, you know, somewhere around, let's say 0.3 cents. Sorry, 30 cents, around 30 cents. Everyone's gonna be like 0.3, 0.03. So the and then if we look actually on the 4 hour, you can see that on the 4 hour, Say is already catching support. And this is a fun fact. Like when you're panicking and you're thinking, oh my God, this crypto is going down and it's all over. It's like literally, at least the way that I check it is I just put on the Bollinger Bands and I just search at different time frames starting from, I'm sure the hourly doesn't look that nice. No, it doesn't. But then we go to the 4 hour, like, okay, well, you can see it's like catching support here. Well, if it breaks below the 4 hour, then, you know, maybe it'll fall down to the daily. And if it breaks below the daily, then, you know, maybe it'll fall down to the weekly, right? And you just keep going and so on and so forth. However, the monthly, of course, this is where the key resistance comes in, right? And I don't know if, I suspect that there's probably confluence in your indicators as well there. And I'll actually remove the RSI here. You can see that there's a lot of resistance around 40 cents, roughly. You know, roughly speaking, of course, you know, I could say it's 38 or whatever. Somewhere in this 40 cent range, there is a lot of resistance. If Say can get above that, in case the trend or in case the lines here didn't make it clear enough, then I do think, you know, obviously there'll probably be a pit stop again somewhere around 66 cents, 67 cents, I think, something like that. I was analyzing Say actually, I think yesterday or the day before, but yeah, first stop would be again 40 cents. If it can get above 40 cents, then probably somewhere around 67 to 69 cents, just to keep it simple. But I do think that somewhere around 84, 85 cents, at least on the monthly. Maybe we'll zoom into the weekly here just to get some more clarity. Yeah, so I guess the weekly would suggest that it would be closer somewhere, that the long-term resistance would be probably somewhere closer, to that 69 cent level. And if Say can break above that, then, you know, then we'd have some hay to make. You know, we'd be going to like $1.3 and higher. But anyway, yeah, that's my Say analysis.
Yeah, I think that's good. I mean, it makes sense.
Maybe Aaron, before I forget, if I can quickly share again, I want to do a quick cheat. It's something I think I mentioned at the start of yesterday's video, but I want to mention it again to everyone who's watching now. And if anyone is panicking and thinking, what you're looking at here is Bitcoin dominance on the 4 hour. And as I explained at the start of yesterday's video, when the market is crashing, Bitcoin dominance is very helpful because you can see if there's actually a flight to safety. I guess in this sense, you could say it's similar to like stablecoin dominance. But if with Bitcoin dominance, if the market is crashing and you see Bitcoin dominance is rallying, then that means people are selling out of altcoins. They're getting into Bitcoin. They're like, this doesn't look good. I'm really scared. I'm out of here. But if you see the opposite, which is what we're seeing now, that actually, you know, in the pullback that's happened, let's say in the last few hours, or even just like, I guess last few hours, you can see that we're actually looking on a bearish engulfing here on the 4 hour, getting rejection from the Bollinger Band moving average on the 4 hour, which suggests that Bitcoin dominance is actually going to continue rolling over. And this is kind of like a bullish undertone, you could say, that if when the crypto market is rallying, people are allocating more into altcoins. That's basically what you're seeing now, is that yes, the crypto market is dipping, but people are actually buying the dip in altcoins pretty aggressive, like not super aggressively, but pretty, at least relative to Bitcoin, they're buying the dip aggressively here. And it looks like Bitcoin dominance is going to continue rolling over. So when markets do start rallying again, what do you think that's going to mean for those altcoins, right? They're going to, you know, they're going to be moving out of that dip even faster than Bitcoin. So again, if you see Bitcoin dominance at the same level, then that means everything's fine. If Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means people are actually panicking and maybe things are not okay. And if you see Bitcoin dominance is going down, then that means that actually things are looking way more bullish beneath the surface than you would expect. And again, like just using those Bollinger Bands, looking at the 4 hour, on the daily, on the weekly, to see where those support levels are, you'll be like, wait a minute, others is on the 4 hour. Total, I think even total is on the hitting the 4 hour Bollinger Band moving average. Like everything is probably going to bounce from around these levels, and then we're going to get a continuation higher. And, you know, it's funny when I mention that, everyone says, oh, the catalyst, show me the catalyst, tell me the catalyst. There has to be a catalyst always. And especially with the Fed meeting from a couple of days ago, they're like, well, what's the next catalyst? Isn't everything over? There's nothing else to look forward to. And I'm like, well, man, there's a few things in my view. First of all, is that you're probably going to see a lot of ETF. Well, first of all, we have the airdrops. Okay. I think people are discounting this the most. Like, just take a second, guys, just think about this for a second. MetaMask. Okay. If you've ever used anything on chain in crypto ever in your entire life, you probably used MetaMask. And that means that you're probably going to be eligible for free money. Just how many, Aaron, do you know off the top of your head? I think MetaMask, they have like 125 million, I think is the total user. It's something insane like that.
If they do an actual airdrop, they're going to bring back all of the NFT traders from 2021 for sure.
Aaron, the total user count for MetaMask is 143 million people. Okay, wow. So if you just even give like $5, $10 vesting, whatever, can you imagine the headlines globally? Crypto users, crypto people are getting free money.
Yeah,
and what do you think that's going to do? Just that one thing. What do you think that's going to do? How much? Yeah, everyone is going to be like, what? There's money in my wallet. They're like, I want to see how much I got. It's like, well, now that I'm here, I might as well, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, but I might as well see how much is this NFT worth that I forgot from the previous cycle, right? Like you're saying, Aaron, how much is that NFT worth? The OpenSea, right? The OpenSea airdrop.
Yep.
Or even for, I think it's, what's the other one? For Base, although Base is a newer thing, so maybe not so much. Yeah. But for something like you said, Aaron, like OpenSea or MetaMask, like 143 million people theoretically are about to get free money. What do you...
Yeah.
The attention that's going to bring is like people don't. Hello. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I had never really thought of that though as a catalyst to bring in people again, but it is something that I've thought about too. Yeah, we can use Google Trends and stuff. I don't see necessarily like the insane amount of interest that we had, but the conditions in 2020 were so unique. In 2017, it was such a smaller market cap and a smaller market in general, not as diluted with as many coins. It also makes me think ahead for like 4 years from now. It's like, what are things going to be like then? Like, how much crazier is this going to be? Like Distraction City. But yeah, I'm excited, honestly, because I even have friends and family that I've helped onboarded into crypto using MetaMask. So I think it's a really good thing globally for crypto. I think it will actually be just good in general, and people that have some play money. Maybe they'll actually put it into the market. Maybe that'll actually help to propel prices up higher. Hopefully they don't hopefully they don't swap on MetaMask though, and they pay like and cause Ethereum fees to go up through the roof. But yeah.
Maybe one last thing I can mention then, Aaron. I know it's getting late on your end, and is there any other pressing thing, like some other chart that you really wanted to check or something, or not necessarily?
Yes.
Okay.
There's one more for Simon's cat.
Okay, show me, and then I'm going to show you guys another potential big catalyst that no one is looking at here.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Simon's cat. It's just cat USD on OKX. Really? Okay. There's an ugly chart. People, really? This is okay. Coming up. All right. So I know I'm pretty sure this has to do with, it's a meme coin, and it's basically like the broccoli thing, right? Broccoli is the name of the dog or something for CZ. So Simon's cat is Simon and Garfunkel. I think that's who it is. You guys are too young. You have no idea who Simon and Garfunkel are. It's fine. But okay, so what's the appeal? Why this chart? What is so interesting about the chart? Okay, let's just, I will entertain for a minute. If we were to just use this as the chart, and I don't even have like the oldest chart in existence. The one positive thing that's happening with it, at least it's at the 236. That's a good sign, to be honest. The reason why I like using Fibonacci levels is, of course, for plotting future like resistance targets or price targets, but I can also use it as like a gauge of strength. The higher that I see a price away from the zero is actually a sign that it has a bit more strength. Whereas if it's really struggling and it's just kind of staying down here, like there's a good chance it's just going to break through the O for the zero and just go lower, right? So at least we're seeing a slightly higher high, and we're seeing we don't know if it's confirmed yet, a higher low. But the main thing again is like, well, what's the appeal? Does Simon's cat bring anything to the table in crypto other than being the cat of a famous person, right? That's the only thing. And it's the same thing. I could say the same exact thing with Doge, with SHIB, with Floki. Yes, they've like on the back end or the backside, they kind of slapped some tech on it to say, oh, this is valid. This actually does something, right? Or like Pepe. It really does nothing. It's just a meme. Will memes come back? Maybe. I think there will always be a place for memes in crypto. But am I necessarily excited about Simon's Cat right now? The only bullish thing I could tell you right now that I see is a TBT bullish divergence. But we saw one back over here, not a great one. Right here, kind of, not really. Finally, we got some good ones. And this is a good pivot here. So we have a pivot possibly. But again, what would be the big driver?
I can tell you.
Okay, go ahead.
It would be, and this is my, call it a conspiracy theory tinfoil hat take.
Uh-oh.
This is not a true bear market. This is not a true bull market until Roaring Kitty comes back. Roaring Kitty, cat meme coins. You have
really?
What is it? MetaMask. Yeah. I think that Roaring, remember back in January, Roaring Kitty posted and said you're gonna wait and whatever. And what's really interesting is that there's a Roaring Kitty meme coin on Ethereum that's been gradually creeping up. And I'm I'm sure they're just pumping it and whatever. It's some when I was checking the X profile, it's just some pump. But I'm on the off chance that there's something with the cats there. And even with Jupiter, they have their Meow meme coin. There's a lot of and even if you think about it from a narrative rotation, let's say hypothetically that Dogecoin gets a huge pump, and then people are well, cats are the next big thing. You can see all that capital out of Dogecoin, and all these Dogecoin betas roll into cat meme coins. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but I guess that's actually a perfect segue, Aaron, to what I want to finish off with, and so I guess I'm going to go through this as quickly as I can, just for your sake and for my sake. For everyone who made it, for everyone who made it.
Wait. Before you do, guys, hit the like button. Subscribe if you have not already subscribed. Dan is pouring out his life essence to help you guys in your portfolios. I'm waiting.
So
there, I heard the click. Okay, good. We're good.
Okay, yeah. So sorry, I'm sharing. You can see my screen there, Aaron.
Oh, I will add it to the stog game.
Thank you.
There we go.
So I want to take you guys back in time to January 29th of 2025, when everything was so bright and beautiful and everyone was they couldn't wait for the Trump administration to bring in some epic crypto pump. There's a headline from back then that was not, initially was not very, people didn't seem to pay attention too much. Although I think the initial announcement, anyway, long story short, the Czech National Bank, which for those who don't know, I'm in the Czech Republic, which is actually a very pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto country. The Czech National Bank, the governor had proposed to add Bitcoin to the bank's balance sheet. And I'm sure that the very first reply, I'm sure I'm going to get, someone in the comments is going to say, yes, they were considering it. But then there was this other headline later on that they said that they skipped Bitcoin and they're not going to be adding Bitcoin to their balance sheet. And it's this other headline here. Sorry, Aaron, I'm making you.
I got it.
So again, this is the headline, and it got a whole bunch of clicks, right? And everyone is saying, oh, they skipped Bitcoin, they're not going to buy Bitcoin. But that's not what they said. If you actually read into the details of the thing, it just said the board only concluded that the Czech National Bank would explore potential addition of new asset classes into its reserves. The announcement did not name Bitcoin among the potential asset classes, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to be there. And he even mentioned, the head of the Czech National Bank, he reiterated in an X post saying, we're still considering it. He literally on that same day or the day before, he was we didn't explicitly name it, but it is still under consideration, technically speaking. But of course, after that headline, everyone just completely forgot about it. Here's where we're moving now towards the modern day. What's really crazy is that at the beginning, or I guess technically at the end of every quarter, the Czech Central Bank, Czech National Bank, whatever, they will basically disclose their holdings. And they disclosed that in Q2, they had purchased Coinbase shares, okay? And this was disclosed only in early July because, of course, it was for Q2. So basically after the quarter ended, then in early July, they disclosed, hey, we just bought Coinbase. Bro, okay, they're clearly moving a little bit closer, inching a little bit closer, and you might say, okay, well, they bought Coinbase and that's the end of it and that's all of it. You're just hyping things up and this is all speculation or whatever, as always, right? Well, maybe it is, but I will take things one step. I will take things one step further, and I'm going to show you guys something that you will not know this unless you either live in the Czech Republic or you watch the crypto media very closely. And this is actually something that I think this was not even covered in crypto media today. And I almost guarantee that, well, maybe there's some niche crypto media article that will cover this. Basically, some crypto media companies have covered the scandal, but I'll just very quickly summarize. So basically, there was a justice minister in the Czech Republic who was bribed, allegedly, using Bitcoin. And then the government found out and they seized this Bitcoin, okay? And then what happened is that the Czech government said, okay, we're going to sell this Bitcoin now to investors, right? And the whole ordeal, like the whole details of what's going on there are so like, again, the nuance there, like I could literally spend like half an hour explaining all the nuanced details there. But long story short is that there was a Bitcoin scandal where someone at the Czech government was bribed with Bitcoin. The Czech government seized control of that Bitcoin, and there was people that wanted to buy the Bitcoin. But then at the last minute, there was this like technical change, and they're like, for technical reasons, we cannot sell the Bitcoin to the buyers. So we're basically going to give them cash instead of the Bitcoin. And now we're going to retain the Bitcoin. Literally, it says right here, the ministry retained the donated Bitcoins and returned the equivalent funds to the buyers. And so what this means is that you have a situation. Yeah. What this means is that, again, for this very bureaucratic Czech reason, whatever. So now you have this situation, okay, where and I'm literally getting like goosebumps when I'm explaining this. Now we have a situation where the Czech government is holding whatever it is. I guess, it's not a big amount of Bitcoin, like whatever, a few million worth of Bitcoin. But the Czech government is now holding Bitcoin. What are they going to do with it? And then with the Czech National Bank wanting to be a buyer, because again, like there were external buyers who wanted to buy it. So what do you think is going to happen? Do you think the Czech government is just going to hold on to that Bitcoin forever? Because again, like other people already tried to buy it, and for technical reasons, they were unable to sell it to these external buyers, and they literally had to give them cash. So what is going to happen to that Bitcoin? I think, hot take, call it speculation, whatever, that at the next, because again, like the Czech National Bank, they only reveal this at the start of each quarter. So in the first 2 weeks of October, don't be surprised in the slightest if you see a headline saying the Czech National Bank has acquired Bitcoin. Okay. And what do you think that's going to do? What do you think that's going to do like globally, that you'll see headlines immediately, like whatever it is, Polish central bank is considering buying Bitcoin, whatever is considering. And when you think about it, like, again, feel free to disagree, and anyone in the comments or whatever, and sorry, I'm like rambling on this, but when it comes to the things that have happened in like for Bitcoin, like what is the one thing that is missing? We have the ETFs, we have governments mining Bitcoin, we have governments using Bitcoin for trade, we have governments stockpiling Bitcoin in their reserves, we have governments using Bitcoin as a currency, right? Where you like El Salvador, they have a Bitcoin as currency. The only thing that I can think of that has not happened yet is for a quote unquote like major central bank to come out and say, we have acquired Bitcoin for the purposes of strategic reserves. And that, because again, governments have done it. You've had governments mining Bitcoin. You have governments using Bitcoin as a payment method, but you have not yet seen a central bank officially declare, we are buying Bitcoin because we see it as something that is unique and akin to gold. And this is exactly what the head of the Czech National Bank guy has been saying. And if you follow the money and whatever, then all these like nuances with like what the hell, like these guys wanted to buy, and you're like, we can't do it, sorry, so here's your cash. Like anyway, and then again, understanding that this disclosure is likely to come sometime in the first 2 weeks of October. Well, that is just the absolute perfect catalyst. I'm sorry for Bitcoin to just have an explosive move. Is that going to happen? Isn't guaranteed. Absolutely not. But it's just these very interesting set of circumstances where you could see how it could happen. And this is one of many things, honestly, that I've been watching that could happen in the coming weeks. That is really, I think, could take the whole world by storm. It's like what they're buying Bitcoin and then all this stuff. And then, it'll be interesting. But anyway, that's my parting thought there. Something for you to dream about, Aaron, at nighttime.
Yeah, thanks a lot. But I think you're onto something though. Like there needs to be some sort of really amazing, incredible news to cause the next rally. Like we all know, seasonality does play a part. And that's why I think that Bitcoin will rally and continue to rally this month and into October and November, and also do well in December. But there really does need to be something. We had the November US election that rallied the markets. We had the market bottoming in April. So we had a nice rally recovery. But even before then, like October 2023, we had the Bitcoin spot ETF rally. Like, there's always something to cause the move. And we're really lacking something like that right now. So it is an interesting concept. Maybe Trump's going to come out and say, all right, we have Bitcoin now on the balance sheet for the Fed or something like that. Not the Fed, but for the bank. I don't know. There's a lot that could happen. But I think that's the important thing, is to know that seasonality does play a part. If it's going to be a quarter two, would that be quarter two? No, quarter three.
Quarter three. Yeah.
Quarter three reports? Huh. All right, I'm going to just keep watching your videos. I think that's the best thing to do, because then you're going to help fill me in on all this stuff. And if you guys haven't already liked the video, there's still time. If you haven't already subscribed, there is still time. But again, I think the best thing for you guys to do right now is to position yourselves So that way you're looking for really good asymmetrical positions. I mean, Dan and I are different people. We have different ideas of where things can go. You're all different people watching this. So it's important not to just get fixated on one thing that one person says, but to take that information, use it to help build your own thesis. But ultimately, it's about how are you going to preserve your portfolio. Growing it is great. There are no guarantees of growing it. Like I said, Aptos could literally just go to zero. It could literally just dump. I would not like that to happen very much so, but there are no guarantees. So it's just something to keep in mind as we progress further into this. Make sure that you have a good head on your shoulders, that you're not affected overly, or rather your emotions aren't being toyed with too much. Zoom out, make sure you touch grass, look at the sky, get some sleep, because once the bull market really gets crazy, you're going to need as much energy and caffeine as you possibly can to never ever sleep again for the next 8 to 12 weeks. That's what I think. Any other words, man?
I think that's the secret to surviving in crypto is just to have endurance. Do your best to sleep, take care of yourself. And I think as we're increasingly coming to find is like you want to be looking at levels rather than you want to think more in terms of levels and time frames. Because if you get stuck thinking like it has to be on this specific day, then you'll get sucked in. And of course, people get frustrated by that when you say, well, initially I believed it would be on this day, but then now I think it'll be a little bit later. And people are like, well, what the hell? Like I can't do it. I can't stand another 2 weeks or another month, 2 months. Oh God, like how am I going to survive that? It's like, well, you've made it this so far, right? I think I'm sure a lot of people watching, they've been in crypto since like probably 2020 or 2021. So if you've made it 4 years and Aaron and I here are saying, hey, like, maybe it'll be another, whatever it is, 8 to 12 weeks. And they're like, oh, I can't. It's like, it's been, you know what I mean? It's been 4 years, bro. You can survive. I believe in you. I believe in you. We believe in you.
Yes, it can happen. Yeah, definitely. Like it's been such a grueling marathon, honestly. So I'm honestly ready for a bear market because I want to play more Elden Ring and I want to earn a yield and just make more streams like this and look at, where I think things are going to be going on the downside, but we need to go up first. So that's where I think we're headed next. Yeah, so guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. If you have any other questions or comments, definitely drop them down below. And especially if you're watching this post stream up until this point, you haven't hit the like button, slap yourself first, then slap the like button. And until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.
See you.